Ivy Valentine subscribes to Mark Yoon, so should you. Enjoy your treat!
In SoulCalibur 6 Season 2 DLC, they actually do a really good job of setting up the story for SoulCalibur 7. But the question that follows is not what's going to take place, but when is it going to take place. Now, there's a lot of different theories that are going around about this, or people's opinions based on this, and I have my own. But I do think that we are going to get somewhat of a time skip. Let me explain. Now, when I say time skip, I don't mean we're going to get something unnecessarily huge, like children being born and stuff like that, like we've seen in past SoulCalibur games, especially 5. No, what I mean more is like catching up to speed the new players. So we know that Ishka-Acht and the Swords and Shepherds are searching for the evil shards to bring about some kind of nightmare's fruition to, I guess, power up the evil sword or whatever, and as well as in the mix somewhere, and Algol is communicating directly with Ishka-Acht, and there's a lot of behind the scenes stuff when it goes on with like Zasalamel and like Hwang Sung-young's like new teacher. There's a bunch of stuff that's involved in that, right? But I don't think we're going to be seeing every pairing of the Swords and Shepherds going after an individual piece of the shard and then doing that. If we do get something like that, that may be something that we get in the secondary story mode, which would be something similar to like what a Libra of Souls would look like. But I think in the main story itself, we're probably going to start off with like they're almost done, finished collecting the shards, and now it's like really, really important for the heroes to go after the remaining sets of evil shards in order to stop their plan from coming to fruition. Now, this would actually give a sense of urgency, but it would also accomplish something else. That second thing is the most important. A small time skip. So it's taking time for them to gather the evil shards for whatever reason possible. And there's a few reasons why this should be the case. The first thing should be is that we see the process of Amy transforming into Viola. Now, whether or not Viola is solely playable or it's going to be Amy and Viola that are both playable in SoulCalibur 7, I'm not sure yet. I've done videos on that in the past, but I can't really say anything with any kind of certainty. But we know that she is transforming into Viola. Now, how long does this brainwashing process take? We could just say that it took like a year or so, or 2 years to like fully get her under control and place her on the Swords and Shepherds to where she doesn't even know that she's Amy kind of deal. And that sets off more emotion for the story to help with that. And to alleviate that, now we also have Zwei entering the picture, because Zwei is right now under the current watch of Johan. And he's about 12 years old in SoulCalibur 6. So if we give a couple year time skip, we can give him to be around like 15, 16 years old, to where he'll actually be able to be in the story, incorporated as an actual character. So that would be a lot better for his character than just saying that he's off somewhere else. Because I do believe that Zwei is going to be in SoulCalibur 7, unless they're just giving us seeds of inklings for a possible SoulCalibur 8, but I don't think with the way that like the budgetary constraints and the friction of the projects that that's actually going to be the case, that they're planning that far ahead. I think that was a direct seed for SoulCalibur 7, so that's why I also think that there's going to be a little bit of a time skip. So the time skip works narratively speaking, like I said, because it takes time for them to gather these evil shards, whatever the evil team is doing. Also, they may have not started right away, because at the end of SoulCalibur 6 Season 2, we not only see some of the Swords and Shepherds coming together, like such as maybe Wan Gobak, or possibly even like Johan, and maybe something happens to him, which is why Zwei takes his place. Viola, Ishka-Acht obviously leading the fray. But we don't have all the sets of pairs yet. So what happened is like they're still looking for other people to join their fray, which could possibly also be our introduction to Aeon Kalkos or Lizardman. Possibly even like changes for other characters to be on that side. Maybe we get a manifested Raphael. Like all of these things like are very easily to put into place for the narrative purposes, but it's going to take time to put their team together, especially at Algol's behest and under the tutelage of Ishka-Acht and Nightmare. But while we're doing this and then they start looking for the shards, there's going to be a lot going on the hero side as well, which I'm sure is going to give us the time boost that we need. For example, this could be the time at which Sophitia has already given birth to Dwakalion. Possibly she's leaving or going on some adventure with her husband, and that's why Cassandra is more taking a front and center role like she started to do in SoulCalibur 6. Maybe he's already a toddler, and we have like something of a half-decade kind of deal skip, maybe like 5-year period, which isn't that big of a deal, especially with concerning the narration. And there's a lot of other people and characters that are doing things as well. Now that Viola is into the fray and Amy is gone missing, perhaps this is what starts Raphael down a path of trying to find out where she is, which leads to him being manifested. Whether or not that's because he encounters Curtis, who is now also manifested, and Grow, we can find out these kind of things that are just like little tidbits in a narrative story. But I think like just starting off directly after Soul Calibur 6 ending, there's too much to be built upon that, and it's a lot better to show not tell kind of situation where we get like a recap in the beginning of the story mode of what's going on in the past couple years, and then the rest of it's filled in by whatever secondary story mode that we have or whatever Soul Chronicles are given for the individual characters themselves. So for all of these reasons, that's why I think that not only is there going to be a time skip, but I think they should do a time skip, at least a small one. That way we can close a lot of the gaps of the narration left open from 6, and we can go directly into the action part of 7, as opposed to meandering about trying to figure out what the enemy's goals are and stuff like that, and doing this road to discovery. We'll already know the situation is dire, we already know what their plans are, we already know what the heroes are doing and trying to prevent. We can just jump headfirst into the actual story itself. There are some problems with time skips, but they're not problems that can't be overcome. We get secondary story modes in Soul Calibur, so whether it be Libra of Souls or even the individual Soul Chronicles that we saw in 6, there's going to be explanations that are given based on what happens, whether it be a timeline past type of thing, like if you go into Raphael showing him how he became manifested or what he's doing to find Amy, and we actually show this time period on the Soul Chronicles, that covers all your bases. Or whether we're just getting library tidbits that are hopefully audibly voiced now, we can actually see what's going on in the story without having to like waste time getting to that point in which the action actually starts to take place. Because that could be a problem narratively speaking. If we're having a slow start to this, it should already be like on the fray of happening. Beyond that, a lot of the characters that need to be developed or need to have development time, that can be easily wiped away and excused with a few-year time skip. We can see Hwang Sung-young and Sung Mina being closer, possibly even running her father's dojang together. We can see Talim and whatever else the other heroes are doing. We can even see the internal struggles between like Siegfried and all of these things that are just coming to fruition without, you know, interrupting the main part of the narration that we're supposed to be getting to, which is like the swords and the shepherds trying to revive Algol and going against the heroes. But I don't know, there's a lot of stuff with this timeline that's like so different that like I really am interested in seeing some of these little interpersonal characterizations. In no way is this timeline going to repeat stuff that happened in the past timeline, just to let you know. So even though this may take place in the time period of Soul Calibur 3 and Soul Calibur 4, don't think that they're going to be repeating the same story beats they were before, because the entire point of a reboot is like a fresh start and to tell an actually different story. This is a completely different timeline, so it's not even a part of that old Earth. It's like literally like a different thing in and of itself, and we already see the changes that have occurred based on everything that happened from Soul Edge and Soul Blade, and then all the changes that occurred within Soul Calibur 6 moving forward. So the seeds are there. We already know what the story is basically going to be. We already know the players that are basically going to be involved in such story, whether it's just a when it happens as opposed to a why and a what. That's the only question that I have remaining. I do want to actually talk about the poll from last video before we finish the video. And the poll actually stated, which character would you like to see become playable the most in Soul Calibur 7? 18% of people said Ling Yu. 50% of people, which is the overwhelming majority, said Ishka Acht. 14% said Curtis, 18% said Juan Gobak, and this is out of a pool of 211 people. Make sure that you can comment and vote on the community tab polls, because I do show them at the end of every video, and you see the comments that are going on right now. But I actually agree with that. Ishka Acht is like the main player right now, so giving her a fully playable fighting style would actually be beneficial. And my next video, I'm going to be talking about what that should look like and what that could look like and what will be the best potential for her character. So any and all thoughts are always welcome in the comment section down below, guys. Or you can click the description box down below and join the free Discord. We talk about a lot of stuff over there. We play a lot of games. We set up like a lot of matches and whatnot. Any and all thoughts are always welcome. And as I always say, guys, I love it. Thank you.
And thank you.